Name Megadeth.
Well, on the way home from New York when I left Metallica, I read a handbill that Senator Alan Cranston had written up that said something about the arsenal of Megadeth can't be rid, about, the stockpiling of nuclear wars, and I thought that
Just took the name
Megadeth, that'd be a cool song title, right? So it's a song title, and then I said, shit, heck, that's really a good concept for a band, extreme power, a million deaths, all that stuff. And it's supposed to be a hypothetical body count of a nuclear fallout, and that's what I got from it.
So how did the band form? You split from Metallica, and where'd all the other guys come from?
When I moved back to California, I moved up to Los Angeles, and the bass player, David Mustaine, lived underneath me in some apartments. I heard him playing one time, and I was yelling out the window for them to shut the fuck up, because they were playing like Iron Maiden and Van Halen and stuff like that. So, being the punk that I am, just being obnoxious and neighborly, and they came up and asked me if I knew where to get cigarettes at, because they just moved in to Los Angeles from Minnesota, Dave and his roommate, and that's how we got together. We started jamming, and then we went through a whole bunch of drummers and guitar players and stuff, and we couldn't find a singer. So New Year's 2 years ago, I decided to start singing, and it's the first I've ever sang in my life with this band. I did all the talking with Metallica, but I never really sang. I did backups and stuff. But we met the drummer Gar about 9 months after I met Dave.
Didn't he used to be a jazz drummer?
Yeah,
something like that.
Totally tell he's a jazz drummer. Just that way he plays. It worked out pretty good because our stuff's so intricate. He can do the broken up stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Chris and Gar have been playing together for like 15 years. So it's like those two came as a package deal, kind of.
Now Chris Poland left.
He never really left. It was, he had some things he had to do.
It was personal.
He couldn't go on tour with us. No, it was nothing. He couldn't go on tour with us, so we got someone temporarily to fill in, and that was Mike Albert. And then we came back from the tour, went over and talked to him and saw how things were working out, and everything was copacetic, so he could get back playing with us and everything. And we commenced the writing for the new album, and we toured a second leg of Killing Is My Business, and we just got out of the studio right now recording Wake Up Dead, and that album turned out really good.
And when's that album coming out?
Yeah, it should be released on the end of May.
Is there any news on which record label will it be on?
Same one.
Same one?
On
Have you talked to any major labels? Because
we definitely talked
potential
to
for majors, definitely.
But right at this point, it's just, talk. There's a lot of people that are interested in us, but,
Yeah.
I mean, the deal has to be exactly right, or we won't go with it. Because, we're not dissatisfied with how Combat's taking care of us right now. So, if we're gonna, change, it's gonna have to totally be for the better.
And most of us know this, but for those who haven't seen you, what's the new album going to sound like?
It's real intricate, classical, heavy metal, thrash. It's got a lot of speed riffs in it. It's got a lot of really intense guitar playing. Chris does a lot of leads, and it's like 50-50 with the leads and everything. And the singing's a lot better. It's all around a heavier album. It's not quite as fast throughout. There's faster parts than the last album, but it's got more melodic content to it. I think it'll go a little farther than the last one.
Could you tell me any song titles and what the songs are about? Anything you want to...
Wake Up Dead is the title track, and that's...
That used to be a song called Blood and Honor, right?
Yeah, it was. We changed the lyrics to Wake Up Dead because I was living with this girl, and I'm in love with this other girl, and I was going out with her, and the girl I was living with found out about it, so she threw all my shit out in the hallway and changed the deadbolt, and I wrote a story about that, and that's how Wake Up Dead evolved. There's going to be some of the old ones that we had from a long time ago.
Next Victim. You changed the title to that.
To My Last Words.
Why was that?
Well, there's a line in the song where it says, "Take another drink and raise the last bet. Think about my last words. They might be what I just said." Because, they're playing Russian roulette. So the song's about playing Russian roulette, and right before the guy places a gun to his temple and gets ready to pull the trigger, he thinks about the last words that he said. Because it could be, it could be death, or it could be, winning his bet.
And there's something else I heard you sang in L.A. when you played last year, or something about another group called Megadeth. mean, what's this all about?
It's some other band. It's the drummer from the Circle Jerks plays in that band. I really don't want to say anything about them because they're dying, so that's good. I don't really care.
Okay, and let's see. Now, what exactly happened with Metallica? I don't know if you know.
Nothing really. It was just an attitude problem. They said I had an attitude problem.
Yeah,
and,
I read about that.
it was just a difference of opinions in all different fields. Plus, you know, James and I had a little indifferences about some stuff. You know, they're better left, you know, not spoken about. You know, they've got enough hype as it is.
Okay, well, can I ask you, what do you think of them now, or you wish?
I think they're doing okay. I think that they shouldn't have produced the last album because the guitar tone stinks, but, you know, I mean, the music is okay. But it was really surprising for me because a lot of the stuff was stuff that, you know, I had familiarized myself with when I was in the band. Songs that James and Lars had gone to clubs and seen other bands playing, and they'd cop some licks here and there off of different songs and stuff. And to make a long story short, it was like, I was really surprised that they'd come up with as many original songs as they did. I don't really know if it was original or not.
Yeah, and Kirk Hammett took most of your licks, I recall, from hearing all the demos.
Oh yeah, lead-wise, yeah.
I mean, every single note to note. Okay, and when you first started touring, you had Kerry King from Slayer play guitar.
Yeah, that was
how'd that come about?
That was another phase of us not having the lineup completed, and what we did was, you know, we had the music completed, and we had a drummer that we were using at the time, and Dave and I were still kind of searching to better the band. And when we found Gar, we kind of went back to three-piece because Gar was so much better than the guy we had before, so we thought we'd just rewrite all the songs. And then we met Chris, and Kerry was out of the picture. Besides, Kerry's not really so great. You know, he kind of like
well, was he more better off with Slayer, or you know, or he didn't fit in well? Or?
I don't know. I really hate talking about other bands. You know,
oh, really?
Because they're you know, friends of ours. You know,
yeah.
As far as musicians, I think they all stink. But you know, as far as friends, they're friends of ours. You know, so I gotta really watch what I say. You know, because we're like a kind of tight-knit little ring of bands, you know what I mean? All the metal bands all know each other and stuff.
Okay, well, when did he play? Just the first two shows?
Nah, he played like 4 or 5 shows, maybe even more than that. Maybe even more than that. I can't remember. I'm trying to put those days behind us, you know.
Were there any thoughts of keeping him? I don't want to keep, you know,
No. See, Kerry's asked me a bunch of times to do solo projects with him, to write new music. He wanted to join Megadeth a couple times, and every time he gets a hair up his ass about Slayer, he always wants to call and join Megadeth. But you know, it's the point right now that we're completely satisfied with this lineup, and Kerry can't play half as good as I can, let alone the fact that Chris, you know, smokes him 100 times over. You know, because Chris is like, you know, definitely the best instrumentalist in this band right now. You know, I mean, it's kind of hard for him to adapt to heavy metal, but one-on-one, he's a much more accomplished guitar player than I am. So we're just kind of fitting him into the band more or less, letting him start to really, you know, go for it, take over, and have, you know, some creative control to what he does.
How did Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good sell? So
it did pretty well. It did more than what they expected at the label. So they gave us a little bit more, you know, creativity with this album, a little bit more flexibility as far as what we wanted to do, and they gave us a heck of a lot more money for the budget. We got 7 times as much money for this record as we did the last one. Yeah,
I heard you weren't you were unhappy with the production of Killing Is My Business. Well, I didn't notice anything wrong. What was wrong, and what happened?
Well, we started off with a halfway decent budget, and we had a guy named Jay Jones producing the thing. And, you know, he's like one of those guys that are nose jammers, you know, that like to bring coke and stuff like that into the studio and spend the budget for the album on drugs and shit. And it got to the point one time during the middle of the recording of the album, we flew back to New York to play a couple shows, and the guy tried to knife me. And we canned him, and we went back and completed the album, and we started the album from scratch again with like, you know, $4,000 left. And, you know, you can't do a good album for $4,000.
Okay, and why did you? Well, I don't want to keep, you know, returning back to Metallica, but why did you put the Mechanics on?
Because it's my song.
You wrote
that song, Jump in the Fire.
Yeah, Jump in the Fire, and there were a couple others, weren't there?
Well, those were songs that I had before I even joined the band.
Oh, really?
Phantom Lord I wrote while I was in the band. Metal Militia I wrote while I was in the band. Call of Cthulhu, same thing, and likewise with Ride the Lightning. But you know, let's move on. I really don't like talking about that. It's okay.
Okay. You've been doing a real lot of touring and stuff. What's your favorite place to play and why?
I don't think we found a favorite place to play yet. Every city we go to, one time it'll be really good, sometimes it'll be really bad, you know. A lot of it has to deal with the vibe that's going on. Audiences are really, really responsible for the way a band performs, you know. If people are sitting there, you know, being smart mouths and you know, harassing the band, naturally it's going to have an effect on the performance, but you know, I'm so used to, you know, harassing people myself, you know, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Okay, and any plans for touring out of the country? As far as I know, you've only been, you know, within the United States. Is there any?
Well, this new record's supposed to be released the end of May. We're taking 2 months off right now to recuperate from the recording and stuff, because we were putting the last day of mixing, I think we put in like a 22-hour day. No, the second to the last day of mixing. So we did some incredible hours putting this album out. We got it done in 21 days, and
so it's all done. It's all ready to go.
Yeah. So we're going to take some time off, and then our agent has a major situation lined up right now with some really big, you know, headlining bands. He was going to put us on as a support act. Instead of an opener or headlining a smaller tour, we'd be, you know, exposed to a really huge crowd that, you know, it's people that, you know, are lighter listeners, you know, but then again, you know, we'll go out there and blow away the band that's headlining, you know.
It's just like what, you know, what Anthrax is doing to Black Sabbath.
Yeah, something in that genre. You know, we're not really setting out to blow anybody away, you know, because it's such a stupid, you know, viewpoint towards playing music. Music is music. It's not like you're lifting weights or something like that, you know.
Very good. Now, Megadeth is one of the most popular bands for tape trading and stuff. I would like to get your opinion on what do you think of the Bootleggers? Do you think it, you know, do you think it advertises for your band and promotes it, or do you think it
hurts the band? You know, it hurts any band. You know, I mean, it's great for promotion and stuff like that, for spreading on the material and getting people that aren't unfamiliar with the band to get a taste of what it's like. But you know, you figure every tape that gets duplicated and sent out is less money that the band's going to get, and when the band is relying upon album sales and live performances to keep, you know, the band even surviving. You know, it's not all as you know, peaches and cream as everybody thinks. You know, it's, you know, every tape adds up, because one person sends it out and he makes 5, and then so on and so on.
And the sound quality gets
worse. And it cuts the album, you know, the potential of the album down, because people get a lousy recording of it and figure, what the hell, I'm not going to buy that.
And I'd like to talk about your lyrics here. Your lyrics seem to be, you know, on the side of good, and you seem to be staying away from the satanic and jumping on the bandwagon and just, you know, trying to be another, you know, satanic group to sell albums or something. What do you think of that? Because you have Chosen Ones, which has, you know, positive side lyrics and looking down the cross, and what was that other one you just played today?
Devil's Eye.
Black Devil, I mean,
Black Friday.
Bunch of them, yeah.
I don't know. We try and point out to our audience, you know, and curiosity is something that we see a lot of in our audience, because everybody's young and hungry, and you know, they've all got active minds, and not tapping that curiosity is such a waste, you know. And if you come up with a concept for a song and it utilizes some words that people aren't familiar with, you know, if they take the time to look it up in a dictionary, you know, some people when they read something, you know, if they run into a word, they'll back up and look it up. If they don't understand it, it could mean a whole difference, you know, between one way they can, you know, perceive what they're thinking about or another. And we try and put some key words in there that people, you know, can use in their life and uplift their, you know, literacy, or, you know, make themselves a little bit more, you know, brighter to the people that they associate with, instead of talking about doom and death and everything.
Yeah,
a lot of the songs,
a lot of that going on.
A lot of the songs are associated with concepts and you know, trying to make people aware of what's going on. Not promoting anything, but basically making it aware.
What do you think about the underground scene and how it's, you know, growing in all these bands coming out? I mean, so many, hundreds.
Fun, you know, it's really good. And I kind of.
Do you think it would hurt publicity, or? I mean, because there's so many bands. I mean, people just. buying different albums and stuff.
Well,
staying
you
away.
figure, so many people are going to listen. I mean, there's some people that like listening to really produced bands. There's some people that don't. There's some people that will listen to garbage just because it's, because no one else likes it, I was talking to some people that were in a band that I can't really say who they were, but, they were saying about how they would play and these guys would come and see him when they'd have 50 people in the audience, and the first time they played a show and 500 people came up, the guy quit seeing them. He used to come by the house all the time and blah, 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 and force around with them, and then, after they played their first show with a lot of people there, the guy just figured, no, you guys sold out, forget it, blah, blah, blah. It's not selling out, it's as a band, as a band progresses and gets better musicianship-wise, they obviously are going to draw more people. It's going to draw, inspire some curiosity from guitar players and drummers alike, and all different musicians, that we use in our band. People that play instruments in other bands are going to come see, not only just to see how we play, but to get inspiration and stuff like that. I think that, a lot of the underground bands, they've got definitely the right idea. They just have to really refine what they're doing. And not let anybody really slow them down.
Not make noise or...
Well, yeah, that's the one thing it says on the back of our new album, the boycott noise metal. Because...
I mean, it's trash. They all sound the same, too.
I've been in the metal scene for a long time.
Yeah.
A long time.
You almost kind of started the thrash thing, didn't you? Because you were in Metallica.
Yeah, I was the key writer in Metallica, so...
And, I mean, Metallica was a band that, with their style and stuff, they were the ones who, practically started. I mean, they made it popular. They didn't start it, but they made it popular.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of hard to take any credit for them because, they slag us off so bad.
Yeah,
especially me, They say I'm a drunk and I can't play, and I'm not drunk right now, and I can play like a
yeah.
I don't think that they have any right to really go off onto those kind of things. I mean, if I was such a jerk, why don't they just forget about me?
Yeah. Because they might even be, I don't know. Jealous because of your talent and stuff.
And see, that's the one thing that makes it kind of hard for people to identify with Metallica, with Megadeth. They want to block it out of their heads that, Mustaine was Metallica, and when I changed into this band, I could have kept playing
You could have kept playing that. You could have. You had the right.
Straightforward shit, but, I figured I'm going to try and progress a little bit farther, take guitar playing a little bit stronger, and give it a little bit more serious side, instead of playing, search and destroy, all that stupid.
Yeah, see, you had the complete total right to, keep going on.
Oh, yeah.
And do that. But, you did it, and that's another reason to, respect you even more. Because, you changed. You had every right to keep going on, but you changed. Well, not really changed, but you made it more.
What I wanted to play.
Yeah.
When I played in the beginning, Lars would sit there on his drum set and go like, "Hey man, that's a really fucking great riff, man, and it's a really great riff, man. Go like wheedly and stuff like that." And he'd say stuff like that. We'd come up with weird songs. James would sit there and practice for like 20 hours trying to write a song, and I'd go in there and I'd be stoned from the right up there, and I'd go in there and I started playing something that I thought was cool because, we were high at the time, and it was the beginning of Phantom, it was the beginning of Metal Militia and all that kind of stuff. A lot of the mood and everything, comes from having a good time, and when we changed, what we did is we started playing stuff that's a little bit stronger, a little bit more intricate, and it requires looking at your hand a little bit more, watching how you're playing, because you're all over the neck, and you use the guitar more than sitting there picking on an open note and hitting a couple notes in between. It's like these songs consist of a real melody line to it, something that can really be appreciated on all instruments.
No, I think you're like, I don't know, a brilliant guitarist. When you started playing, and Metallica was saying you only started playing only just to get girls and all this and that crap and this and that.
I have no problems getting girls. I was getting fucked when I was 13, It's like, I didn't need to start playing guitar to get girls. That's like, total, that's another slanderous jab they made at me, It's like, why even talk about me if they don't like me? God damn it,
I think they have to be jealous or something.
Yeah, it's like when you break up with an old girlfriend and start calling her a slut and stuff like that. It's because, deep down inside you still love her, but, you can't have her, so you're going to put her down. Now, Lars, I heard from Lars's own fat little mouth that he wanted me to be in Metallica playing rhythm and Kurt playing lead and James just singing, and I laughed at him. I said, if you think I would take second fiddle to Kirk Hamster, you're crazy. There's no way, because, I mean, I can play better one-handed than I think he can, because I see how he copied my leads.
Yeah, no for no on the demos. No live to leather
It's like,
demo.
you know, some little kid sitting in his bedroom backing up a Michael Schenker solo over and over, and, oh, I know that, too hot to handle, yeah, yippee-i-oh, you know, I mean, I think the guy would have had enough guts to do something on his own instead of ripping me off.
Yeah. Okay, and I'd like to talk, what about your influences as a guitarist and your the band's influences?
They're so vast and varied, I can't even put my finger on it. You know, we like everything. He likes everything. Dave likes everything. Gar likes everything. Chris has got so many influences. He can play
classical and
jazz, mostly jazz fusion. Gar and Chris are totally into jazz fusion, blues. Chris can play like, you know, all kinds of style guitar and stuff, and I'm into like blues and classical and stuff like that. And you know, really big orchestration, you know, it requires a lot of instruments going at once, you know, like some really big,
I noticed that on
stuff,
Black Friday. Black Friday had a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
You know, what about your future plans? Put out the album?
Well, right now what we're doing is we're doing the show tomorrow night, and then we come home, we do a photo session for the back of the album, and then we go do 2 more shows in San Francisco and Palo Alto, and then we come home and there's a big party out of BC Rich. They're having all the bands that they endorse and stuff go down there for a fully catered buffet type bar type shit, you know, and they're going to have a giant poster taken, or they're going to do a poster shoot, and like Black Sabbath and all these other kooks are going to be there, so, you know, and then Friday, you know, we've got like a business meeting with our agent, so this next week is the last week we're working, and then after that I'm going to like cut my throat and admit myself to a hospital so I can get some relaxing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
pretty hard.
I am so beat right now. My spine feels like someone tackled me. It's like, you know, you stay up for like a month straight, sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, and it's pretty bad. You die.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to say, you know, about to all the fans out there?
Hey, what? Basically, what we want to do is keep our following of the hardcore people, the thrashers and stuff like that. And I want to make sure that they know that we're not selling out in any way or form by playing songs that have more melody to it. It's just now the songs.
No reason to respect you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, you know, it's a simple 3-chord progression, something like, you know, some of the bands that we've been stuck playing with do. You know, I mean, we've had some bands open up to us that are so goddamn awful. It's just pathetic. You know, we played in Cleveland, and the band that opened up for us had like a kerosene smoke machine, and the place smelled like someone was burning stockings or something like that. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Okay, and let's see, last thing I wanted to ask you here, what was it? Oh, what's your secret to playing live? I mean, every single time you're on stage, I mean, I get your concert from trading tapes. I know, you know, what you're thinking about that, but every single time you play live, you always have some magic, some power. I mean, every single time. I mean, what's the secret? Just go out there and do it?
I don't know. I think a lot of it is that, you know, a lot of people are counting on us to deliver.
It's the people that do it.
You know, and then you walk around before the show, and everyone's talking to you and shaking your hand and patting you on the back and that kind of stuff. And it makes you feel really good, you know, because to me, playing is like, it's the best feeling. Well, I like it better than sex because, you know what I mean, you know where the party's at. There's always going to be beer and partyables and stuff, and there's, you know, you can usually get your pick of the litter as far as the women are concerned. And, you know, I mean, we get a lot of good-looking girls that come to the show. Sometimes, you know, some places we play, you know, there's pigs, but, you know, I mean, that's understandable.
You gotta live with that.
But we want to make sure that our fans, you know, when they come and see us live, you know, have as much fun as we do, because that's what all we're doing is having fun, you know. Tonight was a rehearsal for us. It was the first time we've picked up our guitars since, or the first time we've all played together, the 4 of us, since we did the basic tracks on the recording a month ago. You know, I mean, we haven't even rehearsed. This was like a rehearsal on stage. So, I mean, there was a little bit of, you know, some loose ends here and there, but it's understandable if we think about, you know, a band comes out of the studio staying up every night, you know, until 10 a.m. the next morning, and then they drive down to San Diego like madmen after, you know, getting 5 hours worth of sleep. And I drove down here today, and I was going like this. The speedometer on our rental car was buried. I mean, it was like it was hitting the bottom. We want to make sure that, you know, when people see us, they don't, you know, they don't be so critical, you know, and expect, you know, God, that guy, man, he missed one note. So if I miss a note, so what? So if I fall on my face, who cares? As long as I don't hurt anybody or they don't hurt me, everything's going to be fine, you know. Because, I mean, if you pay to get in for entertainment, you're going to have some entertainment. And if they're sitting there like a bunch of fucking clams, you know, I mean, it's not going to make us motivated. But then again, you see people with their hair flying and sweat and spit and this and that, and everyone's screaming around and having a good time. It intensifies your concentration on your instrument, and it lets you kind of relax a little bit as far as, you know, the tenseness, you know, so you can hop around a little bit more and you know, keep people, you know, in touch with what's going on. You know, it's kind of a drag sitting up on stage looking at somebody for an hour if the guy won't even look at you once, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you look around and survey everybody and say hello and make everybody feel like, you know, they're part of the show, you know, because that's what they are. The audience is a big part of our show.
So what do you think of San Diego? I got the impression when Slayer was here that it was just, you know, just like another thing, and like San Diego's beneath their reach. I mean, what do you happen to think of San Diego?
I was born down here, so I love this place, you know. So, I mean, I was a wee tot when I left, but I mean, the air's good down here. The people are smiling, and you know, it reeks of a certain type of class down here, you know. And some people, you know, they don't know how to have fun yet, so they want to like hurt people, and they see people slamming, and you know, because they haven't themselves really learned how to, you know, they don't know what's going on. It's not that San Diego's above or below any other city, you know. It just sometimes shows are promoted properly, and there's a big turnout. At times, you know, things are kind of weird and this and that. You know, I think San Diego is a fun place for us to come to. When we came last time with Motorhead, we had a blast, you know. And tonight was our first time headlining here, so we're only going to be going up, you know, unless God falls off the stage again.
Okay, well, Dave, I'd like to thank you for your time, and you're a lot more, you know, a lot different than what I expected, you know.
I'm not a
here on
jerk like
stage,
everybody says,
everyone, I swear, everyone's been saying that stuff. You know, I talked to you in LA a couple weeks ago, and you said, yeah, sure, you'll do this interview, and I just like, you know, thank you for your time, and so considerate.
This is, you know, one of the things that I want to, you know, prove to everybody that, you know, I mean, there's a heart inside of my body, and you know, I've also got a quick mind, you know. That's why sometimes I snap back and you know, say nasty things, but you know, I mean, I'm not there to hurt anybody. I'm not there to like poke fun at anyone, you know. So basically, I want to express the opinions and ideas of the band without, you know, making it look really egotistical. And, you know, I'm a person, you're a person, you know. I mean, if they skinned us, we'd both have the same skeleton, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what skull beneath the skin.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, you know, that kind of gets back to the part about being a dick, but, you know, everyone, you know, people that don't know me don't think that, because sometimes I have to have some solitude before we go on stage, you know, and that kind of I always conceited, he won't talk to me or something, but...
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, you always said, you know, after the show, you know, I'll do and stuff, you know.
Yeah, because I need to, like, have my concentration. I mean, we got plenty of time, it's just, you know, I need that time to, you know, make sure that my mind is clear, you know, because, you know, we rely a lot on, you know, the electrons that, you know, your mind can put out, you know, and we want to keep our heads really clear before we go out on stage. I'm not saying that we're not high or anything like that, but, you know, we want to make sure that we've really got positive energy flowing, and you know, solitude is really good for meditation and blah, 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 and it makes you feel good, too, if you can just think by yourself a little while, you know, like walking next to a lake. Sometimes I'll just sit there and just, like, you know, meditate and think about, like, a pool of water with, you know, no ripples or no nothing. And people look at me like, what a boom, he's just staring at the wall, and you know, I mean, I can have, you know, such a vivid picture off of that, you know, and to get back to the point, you know, I'm not like everybody mentions, you know.
Yeah, I've heard so many, you know, I don't know, stories, especially from New York, how, I don't know, I just called a friend in Rochester, and he was saying how everyone in New York, you know, does not like Megadeth because of their attitude, and they take so many drugs, and they're always, you know, up and this and that.
Well,
you know, no, I mean, it's just completely different than what, you know, what I thought.
Well, now you hear what happened.
Yeah, it's the second time I've talked to you, and you seem, you know, the same both times, you know, not...
It's not any kind of pompous, you know, outfit I put on or anything. You know, one thing that's kind of weird was when we played at the Licks one time, you know, they didn't honor our rider, you know, that's where they give you the food and all that stuff when you come out to play, and they just gave us a big bottle of Seagram 7, and we didn't have any food, and naturally we were starving, so we started drinking, and we got really high because there was no food in our bellies and stuff, and we were getting carried away with the last song of the show, and I was knocking over mic stands and cymbals with my bitch, and the next thing you know, my stage manager, Scott Mansis, came over and grabbed my guitar, trying to take it out of my hand so I wouldn't break my guitar, because, you know, I've broken a bunch of guitars since PC Rich gives them to me for free, and it's like, you know, I guess the thing slipped out of his hand and clanged some kid in the head, and by the time we got to Cleveland, someone said, "Yeah, I hear you beat up 30 people at the Licks with the guitar," you know, so, I mean, it's just like that old game telephone, you tell somebody something and he tells the next person, and by the time he goes through the whole circle back to the first guy, you hear what he said, and it's not even the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'd like to really thank you for your time and stuff. It's really, I really appreciate it, you know, it's,
Anytime.
and everything. Okay, thanks a lot.